thank you all for being here. Here is something you may not know. Presidents do not fix our street lights. They don't decide how many teachers are in our child's classrooms or whether our neighborhoods get a sidewalk. That all happens right here in Connecticut at the local level. And tomorrow, voters across Connecticut will make decisions in the places that we call home. In Connecticut, we take great pride in our communities. We care about our neighborhoods. These are the places where we raise families, build businesses, have fun, and retire. Voting in local elections is how we shape those communities. It is our chance to have a say about our property taxes, police, parks, fire, everything in between. Yet in 2023, only 3 of every 10 voters cast a ballot in local elections. And compare that to presidential years when 8 in 10 voters cast ballots. Why are so many people who are eligible to vote, registered to vote, invested in voting, coming out in presidential elections, but staying home in these very important local elections? Voting is how we make sure our voices are heard at every single level of government. And if you care about your town, tomorrow is the time to come out and show it at the polls. Our hard-working registrars, town clerks, poll workers have just finished 14 long days of early voting. Their goal and ours in every single election is to ensure that every eligible voter in the state can cast their ballot with access and security as our main priorities, because we all believe that every single vote counts and it matters. As we move forward with Election Day, if you see something, remember, here in Connecticut, you can always say something by contacting the State Elections Enforcement Commission. That hotline is 1-866-SEEC-INFO. That's 1-866-733-2463, or you can email elections@ct.gov. And for many voters, this election will be the first time that they will be using our new voting tabulators. Our previous machines, as you may know, were close to 20 years old, purchased before the iPhone was invented. It was getting harder and harder to find replacement parts, and they were worn out. So the new machines will be more reliable, they're very user-friendly, but with the same security focus we've always had. They still use paper ballots and they are not connected to the internet. These upgrades are part of a wave of election reforms, early voting, modernized systems, increased training that reflect our commitment to both access and security. Our Connecticut elections are secure, transparent, and built on bipartisan checks and balances. And today I'd also like to remind voters about how they can vote tomorrow. Our polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you are in line by 8 p.m., you will still be allowed to cast your ballot. Same-day registration is available in every single town, and you can find all your details about voting at myvote.ct.gov. And don't forget, many towns have two-sided ballots. They might also have a ballot question. So if you go on myvote.ct.gov, you can find a sample ballot and also a voter guide to help you out. We also remain committed to making voting accessible to every single voter. Every polling place has curbside voting if you have a temporary incapacity. They also have IVS ballot marking devices available for voters who cannot read or have a vision impairment. You can listen to your ballot and cast your vote with numeric buttons. If you have a challenge with your fine motor skills and you cannot fill out the bubbles on your ballot, you can use a touch screen to vote. And if you have any trouble reading English, contact your registrar to see if they will have language translation available. If you need help, you will find it. We have just concluded 14 days of early voting, and it has gone almost without incident across the state. More than 192,000 voters cast their ballot via early voting. And while we can't compare it directly to a presidential year, it is still clear that voters see early voting as a valid, practical way to participate. And lastly, I want to emphasize, Election Day is not the end of the story, it's the beginning. It is important in a representative democracy that we help our elected representatives represent us well. So staying engaged every day of the year is important. And if you want to stay involved but don't know how to get started, I encourage you to check out our powerofcivics.ct.gov portal. It is an easy, interactive tool that allows everyone to learn a little bit more about how local, state, and federal government operates. So thank you. Don't forget, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to vote tomorrow on Election Day, November 4th. And I am happy to answer questions right after I do a demonstration of our new tabulator. So I'm going to run a few ballots through. Let's see. And what's wonderful about these machines, the screen is very easy to read. In the old days, it was very small, so you can tell immediately that your ballot's been counted. You enter the ballot the same way you always have, and the machine will scan it. It will tell you it's scanning it. Oh, and it went very quickly, but it will say your vote has been counted. I'm going to do another one, which I believe shows what happens if you've done something wrong on your ballot, like you didn't vote for all the positions, or you voted for too many positions. Oh, that was a normal ballot. I don't know. Tom, where's my over? Oh, I see it. It's on the bottom here. Okay, this represents an overvote, meaning you voted for too many positions. As you can see, it says in the contest for Board of Finance, you chose 5 candidates, you're only allowed 4. If for some reason you don't want to change your mind, you can hit cast and that ballot will be counted. But if you do want to go back and reconsider, you can hit return and it will spit out and you go back to the privacy booth. And it says your ballot was not cast. And I'll do it again just to show if you wanted to cast it anyway, you would hit cast. And it will say your ballot has been counted. Oh, sure, yes. These ballots, let's see. I have no idea what this ballot will tell me. It says my vote has been counted. I will try another one in case you want to. The vote has been counted screen is only up for a second. There you go. And let's see if I have one more over. Oh, here's what happens if for some reason you put in a blank ballot. It says blank ballot. You have made no selections. To correct your ballot, press return and see a poll worker for help. To cast your ballot without any selections, press cast blank ballot. So as you can see, it's a very communicative device, which I hope will give everyone much more comfort knowing exactly where their ballot stands in the process. Any questions?
How many of these machines are out in the field?
Oh, it's a good question. Tom, do you have the exact figure?
It's 2,500 ballots, including the high-speed central count.
Including high-speed. So 2,500 tabulators. You may recall we have these DS300s. We also have a medium-speed ballot counter, the DS450, and a high-speed counter, the DS950. And most of those are used in central count locations for absentee ballots or early voting ballots because they can run about 100 ballots per minute. Is that fair to say?
Depends.
More or less, yeah, okay. If it's two-sided or one-sided. Let's say close to 100 one-sided ballots a minute. Any other
And
questions?
the 2,500 will be enough? Is that what we had in the old days? Did we have 2,500 tabulators of the old type?
We actually have more than 2,500, but 2,500 are currently deployed. The best figure we've been able to come up with from the past, over time, the past 15 to 17 years, was close to 3,000.
And what was the cost of these? I think you told us that in the past.
We received bonding of $20 million to pay for these, and I believe that came in pretty much on the money.
And what does that go per unit?
I don't know offhand. Do you remember offhand? We can get that to you.
We can get that.
Yeah.
Well, you just run it 2,500 into 20 million? The 20 million was only for these machines or for
Well,
other things?
because there's 3 separate units, also software, licensing, there are
Okay.
ancillary costs. Yeah.
Can you talk about election integrity tomorrow? Is this going to be better, or it's just outdated equipment that needed to be replaced?
I think it's outdated equipment that needed to be replaced, which in some ways, the elections are only as secure as people feel they are. So when people would vote on the old machines and it might go down, although that is part of every town's emergency procedures, and there is a way to still vote using this exact same unit without electricity, for example, but voters felt very nervous if something went wrong. So these, because they are not expected to malfunction, will make people feel better. As you can see, there's also, this is different from the old machines. Every single access point, whether it's the storage bin, this unit, where various things are connected, there is a little lock here that only the election worker has a key to. So there's greater security in the sense that no one can do anything to this equipment without, it has to be the moderator of the location, if that makes sense.
And there's no exceptions, in other words, there's voting tomorrow in all 169 municipalities? There's no exceptions?
That's correct, except the one borough who still votes in May. One borough, is that correct?
It's one town. Union.
Oh, one. Union still votes in May.
Okay, so Union is not voting tomorrow?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a count, maybe not, of the number of individual races? By that I mean, did anybody run a count, in other words, all of the planning and zoning races, all of the selectmen races? In other words,
We don't have a count of that.
you don't track that? Okay.
Correct. Any other questions?
I had one last thing on the, Stratford is number 1 on the early voting?
Yes, Stratford so far has had 5,353 early votes. If you compare that to their overall turnout in 2023, although, you know, no 2 races are the same, that would represent 43% turnout.
So everything tomorrow in Stratford is gravy, is that what you're saying?
Well, no, their turnout in 2023 was 55%, so there's still some room to grow.
And the numbers you gave us before, generally 30% in a municipal, 80 in a presidential, is that just for the last races we had, or that's the traditional number that we did?
If you look at a few years over time, the average is in municipals, actually, it's been increasing slightly, so about 33%. And presidential over the last few years has been decreasing, so the average is probably closer to 78%.
So will you expect more turnout this year because of the various controversies going on between states and Washington?
I don't have a good sense. When I travel around the state, I hear both sides. People feeling like things are too divisive and washing their hand of government altogether and saying they're not showing up. But then I also hear people who are frustrated, angry, are excited, saying they will go out and cast a ballot. Right now, if we look at, just to give you a sense between municipal and presidential, we have had, if you tally early voting, same-day registration, and absentee voting, we're at 212,601 ballots cast. And in the presidential, those same numbers totaled 882,018 voters. So we know 40% turned out last year for the presidential in early voting. Right now, that turnout would be about 25%. So election day will tell us if our average is raising or sinking.
So just to be clear on that, 882 for the presidential early voters in 2024.
Early,
Right.
absentee, and same day.
Absentee the same day, and the number cast so far is the 212 number.
Correct.
Cast so far early voting this year.
And absentee and same day.
Okay.
It's 192, 271 just early. Has everyone here voted? I don't see enough hands.
Last question on that. So you're saying, in response to Ken, you were basically saying you don't really know, for example, if the federal government shutdown will have an impact, plus or minus. You just don't know.
Elections, it's very hard to ever compare apples to apples because every single contest is different. We can see a very competitive race in a town like Stratford is boosting their turnout, whereas you have other towns where maybe it's an incumbent running who has been in office for many years, so people tend not to show up as much. So it's hard to know, so we'll see at the end of the day tomorrow.
And Hartford has like 4 people running for 3 school board seats.
It's a very low, exactly. It's hard to compare apples to apples, but good candidates drive turnout, typically.
And also one thing back on your Board of Finance example here, you voted for 5 people and only 4 were eligible, and you said you could hit the button and the ballot would be cast. How would that work? You're saying that would still be okay?
Yeah, and this, sorry.
That one race would not be counted on that ballot.
That race would not be counted?
Correct.
But all the other races that they voted for on that ballot would be counted.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's the same as always. Voters have the right to vote how they would like. Sometimes people vote blank ballots, sometimes, especially in a lot of these races where you can choose like 3 candidates out of 6, maybe they only want to choose 2. And sometimes they overvote and don't want to correct the ballot for whatever reason.
And the undervote is okay? In other words, you're supposed to pick 3. If the person only picks 2, it will go through the machine?
No, it'll tell you.
It will tell
but
you.
You can also choose to cast it or take it back.
Okay, so it'll immediately tell you basically
Exactly.
you should have
It'll
picked
tell
3
you
and you
which
didn't.
rate. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. But you can still hit that button as they cast it out?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Hey, Ken, you look like you have
Thank
something.
you.
Oh, all right. Did you have something? Okay. Thank you very much. Happy election.